Frank Umba, who is the Force Public Relations Officer of the Nigerian Police. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you very much.
Well, indeed, the Inspector General has been taking a tour of some of the states affected by security crisis. It's raised more than an eyebrow because people are wondering what is going on. Is the Nigerian police overwhelmed by the level of insecurity? I mean, the IG himself did acknowledge through his statement. He said that what could be responsible for the upsurge in crime and criminality across the country would remain something for academic conjecture, something to that effect. But that statement alone shows that he acknowledges that there has been an upsurge in crime and criminality across the country. Has it overwhelmed the Nigerian police?
First of all, let me just key into what you've just said. The truth really is we acknowledge the fact that there are indeed challenges, security challenges, different fronts across the nation. But whether we're overwhelmed, I would say absolutely no. That's the price you pay for leadership. That's the price you pay for taking up a job. And when the times are tough, the tough will just keep going. I mean, we are not hired, trained, equipped, and paid by Nigerians to go and sleep and party. We are hired for times like this. When the current Inspector General of Police, IGP Mohammed Abubakar Adamu, took up the appointment or took up the privilege of being the Inspector General of Police, he never expected that he was coming to the 7th floor of Louis Edet House to party. He knew quite clearly that he's coming in at a tough time. He came in just 2 weeks before a general election, and then he knew exactly that it's not going to be easy. And once you put on this uniform, you know you are taking a risk. You are going all out there to serve the country and stand in gap between life and death. And so that's exactly what we're doing. We are challenged, and we know we are. The country is equally challenged. A few band of criminals have come together and are challenging our collective will. And this is a time for us to tell Nigerians that indeed we are here to serve, and to serve with everything we've got. And that's exactly what we're doing.
I'm glad that you recognize, that you say that there is a challenge. The question is the challenge overwhelming? Because some people are getting the sense that it seems that these bandits, from wherever you look at them, is in the south-south, is it in the southwest, is it in the northeast, is it in the northwest, seem to be overwhelming, or is it even in the north-central, seem to be overwhelming our security forces. Just on Monday here, I remember reading the headlines on the papers and even appearing on the news at 10 or listening to the news at 10, and what we saw was that in almost every spot or almost every region you looked in the country, there was one security challenge or the other. And oftentimes, the results have been dastardly. And we're wondering, what is happening to the security forces in those areas? Almost every state has a commissioner of police. There's almost no state now. We understand that at the last check, almost every state, about 27 of them or so, have some army deployment or the other. Yet, we still see these incidences of crime, people being killed, people being kidnapped here and there, and it looks like they're threatening to overwhelm our security agencies. Is that what is happening?
Absolutely not. Like I've said before, there are challenges. Crime fighting is a continuous thing. What you do, you look constantly, you review your strategies. For instance, when we saw the challenges on Abuja-Kaduna Road, we had to come up with a new strategy and redefine, look at the problem on the road again, look at the security measures that were in place previously, study them, reevaluated them, and came up with a rejigged and reinvigorated security measures. And you've seen that paying off. within from the time the Operation Purfather was launched till date, there have not been any single incident on Abuja-Kaduna Expressway. And that's what we will be replicating everywhere. You see, the truth is, the security challenges we are facing today are fundamentally request intervention at different levels. We are the law enforcement and the security level will be doing everything that is humanly and operationally possible to pull down, roll back the time, and then bring these bandits to book, arrest them, prosecute them, send them to prisons, take over their spaces, and make sure we take them out of the way of Nigerians. But while we're doing that, we will also be requiring interventions at different levels, at the political level, at the economic level, even at the socio-cultural levels. And so, for us to actually totally subdue these criminals, we need to work together. I disagree, and I do not subscribe to the fact that we are overwhelmed. Like I said from the beginning, we are challenged. Certainly we are, but we are rising above these challenges. And all I appeal to Nigerians is just work with us and watch and see. Just the same way we have tamed the situation on Lagos-Abuja Expressway, we're going to tame the security situations across the length and breadth of this country.
Well, Nigerians will be hoping that you succeed because, I mean, it is in our best.
We will certainly
It is in our best interest that you succeed.
We will
and I'm
certainly
sure that
succeed.
Most people will be willing, if not everyone, maybe apart from the criminals, will be willing to give you their support so you succeed. However, you know, and I would acknowledge with you that yes, since Operation Puff Adder has been launched, indeed, we haven't heard incidences of kidnappings along the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway. However, you do know that this is not the first time an operation along the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway has been launched. I mean, kidnappings along that route has been on and off. It would seem that there are seasons. So in 1 minute, you know, the expressway seems safe. The next minute, you know, you get a number of incidences as if to say that, you know, the security agencies are tired and they've gone to sleep. And so the kidnappers can come back and have a field day. So we sincerely hope that this operation, whatever it is, whatever it entails, will be sustained. But let us know, why is it that we had to get to the point where people were protested about the situation in Zamfara before we eventually saw the IG moving into Zamfara, and then the federal government, you know, well, through the Inspector General, of course, issuing a ban on mining activities? Why did it have to get to that point first before we saw that particular action?
First of all, let me say one thing. We're running a democracy. And Nigerians, every single Nigeria, is a part and parcel of the government of the day. Community policing requires that Nigerians must have a say in how they are policed. Nigerians, as a matter of fact, have got the right and the power to actually set the agenda for the police chiefs and the police organizations policing them. So it is actually not out of place for Nigerians to protest and to demand actions or affirmative actions. It is not out of place for Nigerians to walk into force headquarters and be part and parcel of what we're doing.
I'm glad you welcome the protest.
Yes,
but
let me make
my
this
question
point
to you is about Zamfara and why it seemed to have gotten out of hand first. I mean, if you ask anybody from Zamfara, they will tell you that there is practically perhaps no government presence in that state. They feel that the state they feel a sense of abandonment on the part of government and the security agencies. Why did it have to get to that point first before we finally heard this ban on mining activities?
Regrettably,
yes.
It is not so, because the state government, I don't speak for the state government,
yes,
but I know that the state government is doing a whole lot of things to actually support support the fight against armed banditry in Zamfara. Similarly, the police and other security agencies, including the military, are equally doing a lot to actually combat the incidences of armed banditry in Zamfara. What you saw actually is simple. Law enforcement, policing, and other functions associated with crime prevention and crime fighting is a continuum. And what we do as managers is just continuously looking at what is on ground, reviewing them constantly, and trying to improve on them as the day go by.
Listen, but I'm going to read you some figures. One of the senators, I think is representing Zamfara Central, Senator Kabir Marafa, while putting out a bill on the floor of the Senate, asking for 10 billion naira for Zamfara over a period of 10 years, estimated that about 11,000 adults, 11,000 male adults have lost their lives as a result of the crisis in Zamfara. This is a state that is not at war. No state of emergency has been declared. That there is no question of insurgency happening in Zamfara. They don't have the issue of terrorists, so to speak, or Boko Haram in Zamfara state. But so far, he said since the crisis started, he estimated about 11,000 male adults, this is not counting women and this is not counting children, have lost their lives in Zamfara state. Why did he have to get to that? That's the point I'm asking, that he had to get to before we eventually saw the intervention or these measures by the police being put into place. What happened to the security agencies on the ground in Zamfara state? Can you tell us?
Well, I wouldn't want to comment on that statistics because I don't even have the statistics speaking to you right here.
You don't have statistics?
I don't have the statistics here. I mean, as I'm speaking to you here, I don't have the statistics. I don't claim to have statistics of everything that have happened in this country. I don't have that statistics here. So I don't want to comment on that statistics. But I want to say this. What you saw, the intervention by the federal government has always been there. What you do in crime fighting is, as you put in a policy in place, you put in a strategy in place, you continuously review it, and as you review it, you change and adapt your strategy to actually see that it is able to deal with the challenges as they emerge.
Okay.
Let me take the issue of the ban on mining. Remember that mining is an economic activity. You don't just wake up from sleep overnight and you ban mining. You need to review your intelligence. You need to get to a point where you have established beyond all reasonable doubt that indeed the mining activity has become a kind of resource cost. You need to get to that point because you don't just wake up from sleep and then you expropriate people's economic source of livelihood. Mm-hmm. Remember that mining has always been there. Mining activities have always been there. Mm. So you don't just wake up from sleep and then you ban mining. You need to get to that point. You need to review the information, review your intelligence, get to a point where you are certain that this has become an actionable intelligence. Mm. Establish a strong nexus between mining and armed banditry. And what we've done is we go to that point where we establish beyond reasonable doubt that the economic rent from mining is actually becoming a source of fuel for the belligerent groups. We were able to establish that in spite of the situations in Zamfara, for example, we've not recorded any incident involving an attack on the mining site. Mm-hmm. We've not recorded any incident involving the kidnap of any of the expatriates linked with the mining. So we were able to establish that indeed some of the economic rent from the mining is becoming part of the capital for the armed bandits to actually arm themselves and then continue to launch their criminal activities. It was when
tell us, you have established, as many people have established, that the expatriates involved in the kidnapping beg your pardon, involved in the mining have not been kidnapped so far. However, the peasants, the ordinary people in Zamfara State have been, attacked severally. Why do you think that is? Why have the miners been protected somewhat and the peasants been attacked? Some people say they're trying to chase the ordinary people away from their land. Is that what the police is also saying?
For now, I wouldn't align myself with that position. But all I can say is that we are looking at the entire security challenge in Zamfara and the Northwest holistically. We are investigating every facet, every component of the challenges we are having there, and we're dealing with them holistically. When we get to a point where we can issue a comprehensive, definite, and certain statement, then we will responsibly do that.
Okay, let's go to Lagos now and take some questions.
All right, just some very short ones now. Mr. Frank, could you tell us, what does the IGP mean when he says that people can now confidently travel along that Abuja-Kaduna Expressway? Are they policing the entire stretch of that road? Because many may still have a question or two as to the safety, whether or not they should travel there. And then secondly, shed some light, if you will, on, is it the thinking of the police now that the connection that the spokesperson of the Lagos State Command referred to between cultism and those who have tattoos and dreadlocks, is that the current thinking of the police now?
Okay. First of all, on the issue of Abuja-Kaduna Expressway, I want to reiterate the position of the Inspector General of Police that that highway is absolutely safe now. We've been able to clear that road of all forms of mischief. From the time the Operation Safe Harder commenced till now, we've been able to arrest a good number of those armed bandits terrorizing innocent Nigerians in that particular axis. We've also been able to recover a lot of weapons from them. And as a matter of fact, lots of them actually died in action during exchange of gunfire with the police. We will be giving Nigerians a very comprehensive report on that shortly. So that's the situation. That road is safe. That road is absolutely safe. Nigerians will testify as to the adequate security arrangements on that road as they continue to apply that road. So that's the reassurance that we're giving them. On the issue of the Lagos spokesperson, the connection between tattoo and dreadlocks that he was trying to draw. Actually, I was told he granted an interview to BBC, Pidgin English program. I've not had the opportunity of listening to the full program, but I certainly believe there's a mix-up somewhere because that position does not reflect the official position of the force. It would certainly be wrong for anyone to say that tattoo or dreadlocks are alien to our culture. Absolutely no. Let's take tattoo, for example. From time immemorial, Africans and indeed Nigerians have always had tattoo. In the northern part of the country, for example, when people are getting married, you see them putting some beautiful lily or henna design on their hands. That's form of tattoo. And even my paternal grandmother, who was a beauty queen in her days, had tattoo as old as she was then. So tattoo has always been with us, and we must stop profiling Nigerians on the basis of tattoo, and we must stop labeling anybody because he or she has got tattoo. And on the issue of dreadlock, similarly, dreadlock has always been there. Rastafarians will always carry dreadlock. Perhaps Frank Mba would have been wearing dreadlocks if not that he's a police officer and he has voluntarily signed in to the subculture of the Nigerian police force.
Just wondering, you have said, Mr. Mba, sorry to interrupt you there, especially on your talk of Rastafarians. But recently, you say you don't have any statistics here, but we would like to know, do you keep statistics of people who have been rehabilitated by the Nigerian army and reintegrated into society?
You're talking about Nigerian army?
Yes.
I don't speak for the Nigerian army. I speak for the Nigeria police.
Yes. I was wondering if the Nigeria Police Force collaborates with the Nigerian Army to have a data of the people who have been rehabilitated and, you know, returned back to society.
I won't be able to speak on that, but you know, there are rehabilitations of criminals or ex-convicts going on at different fronts. The prison, the correction services, which is the Nigeria Prison Service, does a whole lot of rehabilitation. The Nigerian Army, like you've just said, probably is also carrying out some rehabilitation. I won't be able to speak on that. I don't have those statistics, and certainly I'm not in a position to speak on what the Nigerian Army is doing in that regard. But let me...
Well, you know that it raises the question of whether these people are working by themselves. In other words, are you working in silos or you're working together on some of these issues? And, you know, how would you be able to collaborate and cooperate should issues arise again? These are some of the issues that would arise as a result of the response you've given.
No, collaboration, we work together, we collaborate, but collaboration itself does not amount to one taking the position of the other in absolute terms and in the absolute terms. The fact that the Nigerian police is working together with the DSS or with the Nigerian Army does not imply that a police officer automatically becomes a soldier or a soldier automatically becomes a police officer. That's not what collaboration is all about.
Well, I hope that that satisfies our viewers who definitely, I'm sure, will have their own questions. But we have to thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily. We do wish the Nigeria Police every success. And we hope that, you know, we hope to see a safer Nigeria. Thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning. We've been speaking to DCP Frank Kumba, who is the Force Public Relations Officer of the Nigeria Police Force.